The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Hi folks, today on Aging Horizons we have a great show planned for you. We're going to be talking with Elizabeth Weaver. She's with the Montana Food Bank Network, and you know, right now food stability is really important. We've got COVID going on, we've got a lot of people out there losing jobs, etc. We have a lot of information for you today, so stay with us.
I think the most pleasant surprise when we turned 65 and signed up for Medicare Part B was finding out about our Welcome to Medicare preventive visit.
It was free, and it gave us the opportunity to visit with our doctors and establish a plan for our health going forward.
They reviewed our medical history, measured our height, weight, blood pressure, and counseled us on other risk factors.
To learn more about Medicare's free or low-cost preventive and wellness benefits, call your local SHIP counselor at 800-551-3191. I mentioned it's free, right?
Twice.
If the Aging Network in Montana was a restaurant, the sign out front would say, over 50 million meals served over the last 30 years. Since adequate nutrition is critical to health and quality of life, nutrition services are an important factor in keeping older Montanans healthy, independent, and living in their community and home. To find out more about senior nutrition programs in your area, call 1-800-551-3191.
Montana's fighting COVID-19, and if we want to stay open, we should all listen to the experts and mask up, especially when we can't social distance.
We want our students in class and sports back this fall, but we've got work to do. One proven path to slow COVID-19 is to mask up.
We're wearing our masks,
and our players are too.
I'm wearing my mask to protect you.
Will you wear yours to protect me?
Mask up, Montana.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Hi folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons, brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services. I'm your host, Kimmy Everman, and as I said in our open, we're going to be talking food today, and you know that's one of my favorite subjects. We have with us Elizabeth Weaver. Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank you.
And you are with the Montana Food Bank Network, and you're a benefit access specialist.
Yes.
So we're thrilled to have you because it's true, I do love to talk about food. And I think let's start out by just sort of educating our audience on what is the Food Bank Network. We think we know what the food bank does, but that's why we have you here, to tell us everything that you do.
Yes, so the Montana Food Bank Network, we are the only statewide food bank in Montana, and we are based all out of the same building in Missoula, which doesn't really make strategic sense when you think about Montana, but that's where we are. And we have over 150 network partners and brick and mortar food pantries that we work with across the state, soup kitchens, boys and girls clubs, anyone else who's also directly distributing or having food programs that are for the community. So we are kind of in some ways like the Cisco for food pantries. We supply a lot of the food that they
Okay, so let's
distribute.
explain. That's that big truck we see on the
exactly.
road on vacation.
Yep. So we supply a lot of the food, a lot of it dry food, but sometimes we actually have a lot of produce coming on that's in, and we are able to provide that to smaller food pantries who might not be able to get bulk sized food at a cheaper rate just because they can't store it.
So what a great name, the Montana Food Bank Network. And so you have all these different partners, and even if you're a person in Montana living in a tiny community, you just need to kind of tap into that and see what's available to you.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what folks are going to be taking advantage of your kinds of benefits and programs?
Yes, so there's the food pantry side, which we work with in local communities. We also do a couple of other programs, like what the work that I do is specifically then recognizing that some towns in this great big state that we love and live in are so teeny tiny that it might be quite a drive to a local food pantry or grocery store.
Right.
So we recognize there's a ton of other programs that exist that are federal or state run that they can tap into. And so part of the work that I do is helping connect folks to those
awesome.
programs.
So you're filling those gaps.
Exactly.
Where you're finding a gap to exist, and you're coming up with something sort of innovative.
Yeah.
Right? Because we do have many, many, many miles in this state. So, and let's step back for just 1 second, because I want, since I have an expert here today, I want to just talk very briefly about what does it mean to be food insecure? What if you have food instability? That is a term that many, many of us have heard, especially right now with COVID going on, but we've always heard about it. What does it mean?
Food insecurity, by its roughest definition, means that you have a lack of access to adequate and nutritious food. And I like to emphasize the nutritious because sometimes we know or even hear about food security and we look around and we're like, well, but I have food, but that the only things you have access to are maybe pasta or canned corn or something, that's not really a variety of nutritious food. Even if you have access to some food, you might not have access to the variety of nutrients that you need. So that's what it is to be food insecure, is to have that lack of access to the nutrients that you need.
And in your work, are you seeing lots of that in our state?
We are. It ebbs and flows.
Certainly.
It ebbs and flows. And we are seeing that among seniors, it's been a little bit on the rise, but I think for a lot of reasons that comes true with the baby boomer generation now hitting to that senior eligibility time. There's just more folks that fit into that demographic.
Sure.
And if you've gone from working to a fixed income, sometimes it's harder when the money that you're used to has changed and you're just living off of Social Security. It takes a while to manage that. So we're trying to help figure out how to best let seniors know of all the programs that are available to them.
So you're kind of a big giant traffic manager.
Yes.
So you're letting everybody know which way to go in terms of the benefits that they might be eligible for, what's closest to them, using as many sort of creative, innovative processes as you can, because let's face it, in Montana, everything really goes, because you really have to be creative to make things get done effectively and efficiently. And thanks for the discussion about food insecurity. Nobody should be food insecure.
No.
And that's why I'm so glad that we have folks like your organization and all the contacts, because that's absolutely not okay in this country. And even though as we age, our eating habits definitely change, which we'll talk about some more, that doesn't mean, as you said, that we stop wanting access to good vegetables and fresh fruit and the things that made us happy and healthy prior to getting to that fixed income. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, folks, we have a lot to tell you today. Food insecurity, as I said, is kind of on the top of my list of things that must be fixed, because we cannot have folks that don't know what the next meal is going to be, or folks that are simply eating, as we said, a can of corn and not having a good nutritious selection of food. We have so much more to talk about. We're going to tell you how to find some of that great food. Come back.
Providing long-term care for someone in need is a labor of love, but it is a labor. Time apart is healthy and necessary both for the caregiver and the person receiving care. It allows each a respite, time to relax and recharge. If you're a long-term caregiver, visit the new Lifespan Respite website. Financial assistance may be available. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
I've been shooting since I was young. It's something I've always enjoyed. I wasn't feeling like myself, and my friend noticed. He asked if he could hold onto my guns temporarily. At first, I was a little shocked, but then I agreed. I think he saved my life that day.
This is Bill. He just received his new Medicare card and is following some simple rules to protect himself from fraud. He knows to never give out his Medicare, Social Security, or bank number over the phone. And this is Nancy. She knows that to detect any problems, she always reads her Medicare Summary Notice or Medicare Advantage EOB to make sure the billing is correct. Both Bill and Nancy know that anything suspicious can be reported to Montana SMP at 1-800-551-3191.
Summer in Montana is a great time to visit your local farmer's market. Enjoy the social atmosphere while shopping for a wide variety of fresh, locally grown produce. Together with both WIC and Senior Farmers Market nutrition programs, you help feed your family 5 or more daily servings of fruits and vegetables for better health. You also help local ag producers and enhance the state's economy. So, for summer fun that's nutritious and helps Montana's economy, shop at your local farmers market.
Hi folks, we're back to Aging Horizons, and we're here talking today about food. And we have with us Elizabeth Weaver from the Montana Food Bank Network. Elizabeth, we're so glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Now you gave us a really great explanation of kind of how you do business and sort of, you know, the hallmarks of food insecurity or instability. Boy, we have a biggie going on right now with that, don't we, with our COVID virus situation. How is that impacting what you do for a living?
Sure. Well, it's making it harder for people to go to the grocery store,
Sure
one way or
is.
the other. We have skyrocketing unemployment. So folks have been laid off because so many businesses have had to shut down, and especially in a tourism state like Montana where some are not reopening,
Right.
We have a lot of, let's say, stagnant jobs or stagnant job loss, which is they're not opening for the summer. So those folks that have been counting on those jobs, they're just kind of at a loss right now.
Right.
We also have folks that, especially in the senior or at-risk population, that always aren't comfortable going to the grocery store now because, as we all know and have been told, to steer clear of large groups of
Right.
people, and especially sometimes being indoors.
Right.
So it's kind of created an interesting parallel of people still need to eat, obviously, but how do they do that safely, and where do they go?
Well, and you know, I myself, my husband's very high risk, and I actually sort of fuss and ruminate over before I can go about 3 days in advance because I try to time it right and all that kind of thing, and it can be very stressful.
It's very, very stressful. And one of the things that early on in this pandemic we were seeing is sometimes a lot of stores were offering at-risk hours early or later in the day, just specifically so there would be fewer people. Over time, I've seen that go away at several places, which I think was a great idea, just for all times to have that.
I agree.
And now it's making people a little bit more anxious about returning. But there's some great ways to kind of allow at-risk populations to still shop. And one of those is through the SNAP program, which is a program that's near and dear to my heart.
Of course.
Yes,
Good.
of course.
Us too.
Yes, and so I'll just tell a little bit about SNAP.
Please do.
And then we can talk about how in COVID it can be such a blessing in some ways.
Please do.
So SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Years ago, there was a program called Food Stamps, which has now been reborn and rebirthed, as I say, into SNAP. It comes now on a lovely little EBT card that you just use at the grocery store, and you can actually use it at other places now. A lot of times farmers markets will take SNAP and so forth, so it's great.
Nice.
Way easier than the paper coupons and everything.
Yes.
And in Montana, through DPHHS, we are actually really blessed to have an application that's online and a lot of telephone interviews that are able to happen. So you can actually apply and get connected without ever having to go to an office or do a paper application and mail it in.
That's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
And I think as folks that are helpers, it's our responsibility to make sure that everything is as easy as it can be and as safe as it can be.
Yes. So one of the things that we do is, that I do, but at the Montana Food Bank Network, is I have a hotline. And so folks can call me. I'll do an application with them over the phone so they can do it from the comfort of their living room or their back porch or wherever they are that they're probably seeing the sunshine. Sometimes I hear people like, I'm outside in my garden. And I was like, well, you enjoy that sun. I'm inside in my office. But we'll do it over the phone. We get it submitted. DPHHS caseworkers, they do quick little follow-up, verify people. Your card comes in the mail. And then with this, you have the ability, one of the great things about SNAP that anyone has the ability to do, but I find it particularly useful and beneficial and utilized by folks that are in that senior population or at-risk population, is you can actually authorize someone to use your SNAP card on your behalf. So that means if you have mobility issues, or potentially you may be 50 miles away from the nearest grocery store, or like this in times of COVID when you just do not feel safe going to the grocery store, you can actually appoint someone, maybe a friend, a child, whoever in your community, to just go purchase your groceries for you so you don't even have to set foot in the grocery store.
That is so helpful.
It's so helpful. I love that idea because there are times that I wish that I could appoint someone to go get my groceries.
Yeah. Well, I know a few folks that have done that, and it's very, very convenient, but it's safe.
Exactly.
And it keeps that anxiety level down.
Yes.
So that is just awesome.
Yep. And then anyone can take advantage of that. And it doesn't have to be, all you have to do is when you're doing your application or when you're chatting with that caseworker, is just let them know, you're like, oh, I'd like to add Jane to use the card on my account. And it doesn't have to be a huge legal thing. You just have to let them know that someone's going to use it on your behalf, and it's done.
Well, and I think, that's very important that you set that out from the beginning. And then there's no trouble about someone is illegally using your card or anything like that. And you pick someone that you trust to help you with that. And certainly in these times where we are hesitant maybe to go out, this is very helpful.
It is very helpful. And it's especially nice because if they're doing it they can use that for you at the grocery store. Farmers markets, many farmers markets across our state take SNAP or accept SNAP. Right. So if you have a farmer's market in your community, stop by the little info booth and just ask. A lot of times they'll also have signs up, but it doesn't hurt to ask and just see. And that's another great way to get a lot of local produce, especially as we're heading into the bountiful season here in Montana.
Well, and also I think of the socialization side of it. And I think how important it is, again, especially now that our older folks have a chance and folks with disabilities have a chance to do something like that. It's very fun. So, folks, come back. We have a lot more for you.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
You mean I can get help paying my prescription drug premiums?
Let me get this straight. I could be eligible for help with my family's prescription premiums even though I own my own home?
And our assets won't be counted.
If you're a Montana resident enrolled in the Medicare prescription drug program, you could be eligible for help paying your premiums. Call or visit the Big Sky RX website today to find out, even if you think you're over income.
What do you know about that? I'm eligible.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
When I found out it was diabetes, my first thought was, Barb, you need help. You have to take control of this. There is help. My doctor gave me a phone number. I called and signed up with a diabetes educator. There is help. I have to put blinders on when I walk past the bakery counter. I can feel my blood sugar go up. You succeed a little at a time. If you have diabetes, help is available. You do not have to do it alone.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aging Horizons. We're here with Elizabeth Weaver from the Montana Food Bank Network. Elizabeth, it's always glad to have you here. Now, we've talked a bit about what the food bank does and how helpful they've been during COVID, but like you said, let's get down to business. How do you sign up for this?
Yeah, so it's actually quite easy to sign up for SNAP. Sometimes if you're used to having to go into the Office of Public Assistance, which a lot of them are closed to the public right now for safety reasons, as they should. People are like, I don't know how to apply. You can always apply online. I know though some of our rural communities, or depending on the demographic, if you have dial-up internet or you just don't have good internet at your house, which is problem in a lot of places. Even now, especially I live in Missoula, in a bigger city, sometimes with everyone being online all the time, internet has just been a struggle. So you can also apply. We have a hotline, so you can give me a call. I'll answer the phone.
Okay, we're going to run that on the screen so people can see that, because that's a great idea. Because I like to remember that not everybody has internet at all.
No, and sometimes it's unreliable and difficult. So
they give you a call.
They give me a call and we go through the process, and it's just a conversation. I ask a bunch of questions that you'd normally put on all of your forms, and we get it done, and it usually takes maybe 20 minutes. And then it's submitted, and then they do a little follow-up at DPHHS, and then they'll let you know if you're approved and your benefits. So like I said, you can do it all from your home without ever leaving.
What if, I do hear every now and then that it isn't very much for some people. What would your comment to that be, Elizabeth?
Well, my comment is always, sometimes it isn't. The minimum benefit is $16 a month. And that's something we actually are fighting to change at my workplace. We always are working to try to make that more. But it has to go through the government, so it takes a while.
Yeah, it isn't your, you don't get to make that choice.
So sometimes everyone's like, I wish it would go faster, but it takes a while. But $16, I always tell folks though, if you view it, would you throw away a $16 coupon? Would you give up free bread or milk for a month, and then which turns into a year? So even though sometimes in itself $16 doesn't sound like a lot, because it isn't really, but if you can use that money to buy 2 to 3 staples every month and take those off of your food budget, or especially now, if you're able to use those $16 at a farmer's market, and if you're at a farmer's market that matches it, then that turns into $32 worth of produce. That's still saving you some of money in your food budget. So I think it's definitely worth it.
Wow. And explain that matches it, because I haven't heard that before.
So there is a program that is also a federal program. So 50 states, I believe everybody is participating. A lot of them will have different regions. It could not always be statewide. In ours, it's not every market offers it at this point, but most do, especially in the larger locations. Quite a few do. And it's called the Double SNAP Dollar program. Some places it's double up bucks, which I like too. And that just says that if you go to the market, they will match the SNAP dollars that you put forth for fresh produce and vegetables and fruit. So not excluding like eggs, and sometimes you can buy cheese at farmers markets. So not including those, but any fresh produce, they will give you a match up to a certain amount. I think a lot of markets it's $10, sometimes it's $20, it varies a little bit. But then if you take it and say, hey, I'm going to give you my $16 in SNAP, and they match you with $16, now you're at $32.
Exactly. And I think it's so many of our older adults live alone or just have one other person, so $32 worth of fresh veg or fruit goes a ways.
It does go a ways. And even if you have a market that isn't doing that and is just doing SNAP, even $16. $16 will buy you a lot of zucchini in August.
Yes, indeed. Well, and I think we've had our farmers market program person on many times, and she would love to hear that we're wanting folks to do this, encouraging, because it's really, again, it's that fresh food and it's the socialization and you're out in your community, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think that you could go wrong with that.
No.
And I guess people just need to check with their local market to see what kind of, and like you said, even if they don't match it, it's a fun experience to go to the market on Saturday morning, and why not?
Absolutely. And a lot of times too, the markets are doing some really great work as far as making sure people are social distance and even having some of those, at-risk hours. So you're outside, you can do it safely. But yes, and also if folks have questions about if their market takes SNAP or does the Double Up program, I can help answer those as well. So if they want
Super. Well, yeah, as we're moving into our last couple of minutes here, and let's just make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you. We're going to put your phone number on the screen again. And so basically, if a person has a question about this, would like to sign up, talk further, they just give you a call?
They do at 1-406-239-6475. And it's just me, so I always tell folks if I don't answer, it's because I'm probably tied up in a meeting or on the phone, but leave a message and I will call you back. So 1-406-239-6475, and we'll get you signed up and get going, because
super
food is important.
It is. And I bet you see a lot of really great end results to this, right? Having done some work with the markets, just having the program person here. It's just it sounds fun, it sounds healthy, and it sounds like a great way to spend a Saturday morning being a part of your community. And what's better than that?
What's better than that?
Right? Well, thanks so much for being with us here today, Elizabeth. And folks, don't be hungry. That's just the bottom line. Don't have to be hungry. Reach out. We've got some numbers on the screen. You can find out what's out there for you. And remember, it's a hand up. It's not a handout. And we don't want anyone to be hungry. For Aging Horizons, I'm Kim Yeverman. Thanks so much.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.